Hi, I am Attorney Maricris Bathan-Lasco. This is my virtual classroom. Welcome to my YouTube channel. In this channel, I shall aim to simplify the law. I will discuss concepts and principles of law in under 10 minutes.
Hello again, everyone. This video lecture, I want to talk about more on the solemnizing officer as well as the application for the marriage license. So in the previous video lecture, we already said that the formal requisites, that would be your authority of the solemnizing officer, the marriage license, and also your marriage ceremony. So in this video, I want us to discuss more about the solemnizing officer and also the marriage license. So let's begin with the solemnizing officer. Article 7 of the Family Code gives you a list of the solemnizing officers. You have first, any incumbent member of the judiciary within the court's jurisdiction. Second, any priest, rabbi, imam, or minister of any church or religious sect duly authorized by his church or religious sect and registered with the Civil Register General, acting within the limits of the written authority granted by his church or religious sect, and provided that at least one of the contracting parties belongs to the solemnizing officer's church or religious sect. Third, any ship captain or airplane chief, only in the case mentioned in Article 31. Fourth, any military commander of a unit to which a chaplain is assigned in the absence of the latter during a military operation, likewise only in the cases mentioned in Article 32. And fifth, any consul general, consul, or vice consul in the case provided in Article 10. So let's talk about the first set of solemnizing officers, your judges. So as I've mentioned in the previous video lecture, that your judge can solemnize marriages only in their jurisdiction. However, if they do solemnize outside their jurisdiction, jurisprudence will tell you that that is only considered as an irregularity and will not affect the validity of the marriage. Now, how about your justices, your Court of Appeals justices, your CTA justices, or your Court of Tax Appeals justices, Sandigan Bayan justices, or your Supreme Court justices? What is their jurisdiction? Their jurisdiction is national in scope. That means they can marry contracting parties or couples anywhere in the Philippines. The second set of your solemnizing officers are your priests, rabbis, imams, or ministers of your religious sect or your church. Now, we have to remember that the priest, rabbi, imam, or minister must be authorized by their religious sect or church. That's number one. Number two, they must also solemnize within the written authority given to him or her by their religious sect or church. Third, he or she must be registered with the Civil Register General. And fourth, one of the contracting parties must be a member of that religious sect or church. The next set of solemnizing officers is your ship captain or airplane chief. But Article 7 tells you that they can only solemnize marriages in relation to Article 31. And what is Article 31? It says, a marriage in articulo mortis between passengers or crew members may also be solemnized by a ship captain or by an airplane pilot, not only while the ship is at sea or the plane is in flight, but also during stopovers at ports of call. So that tells you that, yes, a ship captain or an airplane pilot may solemnize marriages, but only in articulo mortis. What is articulo mortis? That is at the point of death, meaning that one of the contracting parties or both contracting parties are at the point of death. So that's the only time that they can marry, and it should be between passengers or crew members. Does it mean that the marriage has to be during a trip or a voyage? Not necessarily, because the law says under Article 31, it may also be during stopovers at ports of call. Now, the next set of solemnizing officers are your military commanders. But then Article 7 also tells you that only in cases mentioned in Article 32. And what is Article 32? It says, a military commander of a unit who is a commissioned officer shall likewise have authority to solemnize marriages in articulo mortis between persons within the zone of military operation, whether members of the armed forces or civilians. So again, your military commanders can only become solemnizing officers if the marriage is in articulo mortis. Again, when either one or both of the contracting parties are at the point of death. Now, what else do we need to remember for military commanders? Before they can solemnize marriages, there are requisites. Number one, he must be a commander of a unit. Let's say a battalion. Second, he must be a commissioned officer. And his rank must be second lieutenant or higher. Third, a chaplain must be assigned. However, during the time that he solemnizes the marriage, the chaplain must be absent. And of course, as we've mentioned, it must be in articulo mortis, between members of the armed forces or civilians within the zone of military operation. Now remember that the military commander can only solemnize marriages if there is a chaplain assigned, but the chaplain at that time is absent. Otherwise, if the chaplain is there, then it should be the chaplain who should solemnize the marriage. Now, another set of solemnizing officers under your family code is your consul general, consul, or vice consul. Now, they can solemnize marriages abroad, but only between Filipino citizens. That's the general rule. Now, what happens if it so happened that he or she, the consul general, consul, or vice consul, happen to solemnize a marriage between a Filipino and a foreigner? The law tells us that if in that country where it is solemnized, it is valid there, then we consider it as valid here. But as a general rule, your consul general, consul, and vice consul should only solemnize marriages in their offices between Filipino citizens. Now, is there any other person authorized to solemnize marriages apart from those that we have mentioned under the family code? The answer is yes. It's your mayors. They are given the authority to solemnize marriage under the local government code. So that's it for your solemnizing officers. So I hope you have learned something from this video, and I will see you in the next.
If you find this video helpful, please click like, subscribe, and that notification bell so that you will be notified of new video uploads. Thank you for watching. See you next time in MBL Classroom.